everyone. Nice to see you here again. Some important notes before we proceed. Please make sure you have your mobile phones on silent to ensure uninterrupted experience for everyone. App, if you haven't done it yet, it has all the agenda and you to provide the feedback to the sessions. All our sessions will be live streamed and recorded to them after the phone. I think we have a couple not working. Can you hear me now? Okay, amazing. Thank you for thumbs up. I was just going through a couple of housekeeping notes, so you didn't hear anything I said before. Okay. I will be quick. Mobile phones on silent. Your headphones have volume adjustment if you need to use this. Please keep headphones in the room before you exit the room. All our sessions are live streamed and recorded, and you will have access to it after the event. And if you have any issues with headsets, looks no one anymore, please just raise your hand and we'll get someone to assist you. Before we start, let's energize a little bit with an activity. If you are able to, can please everyone stand up? And it's almost the end of the day. Let's do a little 10-second stretch. And guys, I really want to take a moment. Can I just say, it's 6th session of the day and we still have a full house. Thank you for your interest and participation. And I can't hold but taking a selfie. Can you please participate in my selfie? Thank you. But don't sit down yet, don't sit down. We are doing a stand-up survey. Can you please maintain standing if you're still maintaining any monolithic applications? Stay standing if you're planning to modernize in the next year. And stay standing if you already started the journey. Okay, now look at these people. It's very good timing for this session. Thank you for participation in the survey. You can take a seat. And we are about to start our session now. If you would like to know how to transform your monolithic applications into modern, event-driven microservices, you're in the right place. Please join me in welcoming our experts, Nishant, Dhiman, and Thomas Mihaly, who will show you the power of serverless for modernization in this next Level 300 session. Please welcome.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, good evening.
Hey everybody.
Thank you for joining us in today's session. This is going to be the second last session of the day, and you chose to join this one because you already know the benefits of microservices over monoliths. And now you want to take a step further by using event-driven architectures to modernize your applications further. But there are some patterns around it. The patterns could be the strangler fig pattern, leave and layer patterns. That's what we are going to discuss today in today's session. My name is Nishant Dhiman. I'm a senior solutions architect at AWS, working with enterprise customers, and I'm based in Sydney, Australia. Today it's my pleasure that I'm sharing the stage with Thomas.
Hi everybody, I'm Thomas Mihaly. I'm the Senior Specialist SA for Q and Serverless. I look after startups around APJ. Been with AWS closing on 8 years now.
As we proceed with today's session, we want to introduce you to two new characters. That is Sarah and John. I'm playing the role of Sarah. Sarah comes with 20 years of worth of experience. She works at any company healthcare, and she is also good at technology, and she has been instructed to modify the experience, to improve the experience of patients and doctors, to align the experience for the appointment booking applications for the any company healthcare. And on the other side there is John.
So we have John. Oops, the other way, just like John. He's a senior dev, but he doesn't have all that experience with legacy stuff. So he knows a bit of programming, but he's more into wipe coding, more into containers, more into serverless, not so much into EC2 or any virtualization things. So anything older than roughly 2 years, that's a Greek village for him.
Cool. So that's how the application looks like. Patients and users come on this application, they book the appointment, they put in some details like first name, last name, choose the doctors, choose the right slot, and book the appointments. And in return, what they get is the email confirmation that their appointment is booked. But the objective in front of the IT head of any company healthcare is to modify the experience for patients and doctors through this application. We need to introduce a new functionality so that some pre-appointment instructions can be sent out to the patients before they appear for the actual appointment. But I do not know whether it's feasible or not. I need to check with John. Hey John,
Okay.
I have a requirement for you. There is a feature request I want you to on and work.
Oh God. Okay. What are the requirements?
Well, I got in touch with a lot of stakeholders at any company healthcare. The board of directors were also there, and they told me that there is a huge opportunity for us to improve the experience for patients, doctors, through our medical appointment booking systems. Right now, competition is also tough, and sometimes patients also do not come unprepared for the sessions, for the appointments. And what they do is, if they are not fasting, we cannot perform certain tests. And it just wastes a lot of appointment slots, leaving the doctors and patients frustrated. So I want you to build new functionality around it so that some pre-appointment instructions can be sent out to the patients and they come prepared so that doctors can make informed decisions so that the treatments can happen in the right time. But make sure that you do not disrupt the functionality of existing application because patients are still booking the appointments.
Okay, that's going to be a pickle. I didn't really get a chance to get too familiar with the current application. I'm more of a modern kind of guy. All the stuff that you're running here is kind of a old school legacy stuff,
But your resume mentioned enterprise experience.
Well, yeah, but it's more of Kubernetes, containers, serverless, event-driven, the new stuff, the fresh stuff.
Oh man, that's not good. Anyways, that's what you have been hired for, and it's up to you to figure it out and let me know if you need any help.
All right, we'll just wing it.
But before you get your hands on this application, let me explain how the infrastructure looks like.
Okay.
There are client, so it's a two-tier app. The front end is hosted on an EC2 machine, which is a virtual machine at AWS that hosts the front end, and the request goes to the back end. App logic and its back end are tied up together to put them into the EC2 machine, and it's simple two-tier application. So how would you do that?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. So I'll put John's tie on the side for a little bit, and we'll summarize the facts. What do we have right now? Current application is running on EC2. Okay. John, as our senior dev, is supposed to create new feature and do not disrupt the existing application because patients are actually making bookings, right? So we don't want to make them wait, anything like that. So he has to develop a new feature. He needs to understand the application first, even though he doesn't really have a clue about how to do it. And also he has to follow the approach that the CTO set up for him to use cloud native solution that's supported by Gen AI. So how is he going to do that? First of all, he'll start with patterns. So first thing that comes to John's mind is Strangler-Fig pattern. He kind of understands patterns a little bit. He's trying to evaluate, is this going to be the right approach? In this case, well, it might or may not. Let's have a look. So Strangler-Fig pattern essentially takes its nature from Strangler-Fig, and in technology what it means when you're migrating an application, you will break down existing application into smaller chunks. So if you're working with a monolith, you would have to identify the features or the functionalities that you can try to start decoupling and then create smaller microservices that are integrated through event-driven approach. But to do that, we would have to disrupt the whole application. So we have to weigh it out. The challenges that we have. Right now we have a single database. So with Strangler-Fig, we would potentially need to migrate the database to a different service or even split it to smaller chunks. That's the first challenge. Also, typically in monoliths, the communication between services is synchronous, API focused, which is in our case as well. And that's going to be a pickle as well, because John doesn't really understand the current architecture all that much. He doesn't know how the application works. So for him to actually start decoupling it, he would have to go through a lot of documentation, potentially read the code, which will take months, right? So not the best use case. We have another pattern that might come to the rescue to John. Leave and layer pattern. Now this pattern allows us to create a new feature that can be fully modernized. You can use event-driven applications off the bat. You can use serverless, containers, whatever you want essentially. Once we have that feature ready, we can just attach it to our existing application by minor tweak, just pointing a certain stream of traffic to the new feature. So this way, John will not disrupt the production, so patients can still make their bookings, and his boss will be happy because they'll have a new feature, potentially powered by GenAI, and they're ready to go.
Cool. So this is the objective in front of Sarah, who is the IT head at any company healthcare. And the requirement is, as soon as the patients book the appointments, the request should go to database that hosts the centralized medical history and records. And it should go through some analysis process. As a result, some pre-appointment instructions should be generated, and it should be sent it over to the patients so that they can come prepared for the actual appointments.
All right, so back to John. What does he need to do before he actually starts doing anything? He will have to kind of understand which services to use. So he already went down the path to choose the leave layer pattern. But which services might suit the best the features that he's trying to incorporate? So most likely he'll choose one of the serverless services, such as API Gateway, AWS Lambda, potentially use DynamoDB if he needs to, and also EventBridge, potentially, if he's going to be writing any events through. But before he goes down the route of choosing the services completely, he needs to think about the integrations as well. How will each individual service link to one another? If there needs to be a buffer setup, if there's going to be a pull mechanism or pushing mechanism, and these sort of things.
As most of you might be knowing, that world is asynchronous. That is, the activities around you that are happening in the daily life are asynchronous in nature. Even if you go to Amazon.com, book an order, and the email that you get on your in your email box that your order is booked, that is also happening asynchronously. Without saying much, I would say you do not want to make your users or customers wait for the things that can happen in the background, that we can process in the background. You want to respond faster to your customers instead of processing faster, or you can process them later. And to build the event asynchronous architectures, customers build their applications on event-driven architectures, where producers produce some events like, in this case, book appointment, generate invoice, download report, and these producers can be any users or systems, and they go to the event consumers through the event broker, which is a router in which you host some rules, some conditions. You can pass on one event to multiple targets based upon certain conditions. And what are these targets? What are these consumers? These could be your SaaS services. It could be an HTTP point as well, HTTP endpoint that can be running on your on-premises infrastructure. And to build these event-driven architectures, there is one service in AWS which is called Amazon EventBridge, which helps you create the distributed microservices architectures, connect different components and systems, and make them act or communicate together through events, where these events, these systems could be AWS services, your custom applications, your third-party SaaS services. They come together, they connect each other through events, and you can host some rules. Rules are basically nothing where you just define the event patterns through JSON schema. As a result, the incoming event gets validated across the event JSON pattern that you have hosted in your event rules. And this rule will decide which event needs to be passed to which target. And target could be your 20+ AWS services are supported out of the box in EventBridge, and it could be third-party SaaS provider services as well. And let's see the solution now through John.
All right, so John kind of had a playthrough. He kind of figured out how he might want to design this thing. So in the first place, we had the original application, which was relatively simple. We had some front end, we had the back end that was processing the requests. Potentially we had database at some point that was saving the bookings. Now, because he wants to do it modern way and the proper way, he chose the leave layer pattern, which correlates to event-driven architecture. So he will choose Amazon Event Bridge for this pattern. Now, if we would just hook up front end to send requests, or events rather, to the event bridge, we will not really have any buffer on the following backend. So we will introduce SQS in between that can pull up messages, it can buffer them up, preventing any smashes to the backend, essentially, if there's a storm of messages coming to the backend at some point potentially. And then we can have Lambda function pulling messages or the requests from SQS and processing it on the go. Now, because the directive was to go GenAI first, or at least GenAI enabled, a Lambda function will be firstly getting patient records from an S3 bucket, where currently they are storing them, a company is storing them. And then the Lambda function will call Amazon Bedrock, which will evaluate those entries in the record history, and based on the medical records, it will generate guidance for our patients to follow through before the next booking. So they are more informed on what to do and what to follow before they actually show up in front of the GP. Now afterwards, when we have all this information, Lambda function will send a signal to SES, which will send an email directly to our patients. Now, this is kind of a greenfield solution, so it's completely separate to our existing application. It's relatively simple, but when you think about it, it demonstrates the nature of leave layer pattern, where you would create a feature and just attach it to existing production, while the production can remain a monolith. It can be whatever, pretty much. But it doesn't really disrupt the production as such. Also, since I mentioned before, John is considered to be a senior developer, but he likes new shiny things. He likes wipe coding. And he wants to make things simple for himself. So he'll definitely use tools like Amazon Q Developer to make it simple to potentially generate code, documentation, and push things through, so he doesn't have to do everything manually.
Cool, I think we can play the demo now.
So we'll demonstrate how this works with a little demo. So this is how the application originally would have looked like. We would have Q Developer build our documentation. This is how it would look like, really fast. You can read the application, read the documentations. This is for the new feature. So we can see the whole instructions on all the flow, how the architecture would flow through, as I described before. We also have a CloudFormation deployment script, which we can use later on to deploy this new feature into our AWS account. Now let's flip over to the console. Once we deployed it, I'm not going to go through the whole deployment, but once we deployed it, we will see all successes. So our Lambda function, SQS, SES resources are created. Once everything is green, John is happy. He can go back to his IDE and continue on building this. So what he needs to do now is to grab this new feature and attach it to existing application. He'll ask you to do that for him without him needing to modify the code. So he'll write out his instructions, and also he will use the pattern that will be followed by the booking itself. And Q Developer will do all the changes for him, including the instructions on how to test it locally. So what happened though is once John got to the local testing bit, he ran into some issues. And through a little bit of research, he found out there's credentials problem where the front end is not passing credentials to the event bridge, so it can't really put item messages into it. He'll put the question to Q Developer, and Q Developer was able to fix this on the fly by passing the credentials into the front-end code, so the front-end can actually make a call to our event bridge. Now, once pushed to production, or rather not to production, I wouldn't recommend that straight away, but to dev environment, John tested this out, so he would run a new booking as you normally would, put in date and time. We'll change the name just to verify that it actually works into Robert Chen. And we can potentially also change the description of the appointment to overall checkup. because the nature of it can be different for every patient. We'll make a booking. This is, until now, this is the old functionality. Now, let's have a look at Lambda function logs. So we know that Lambda function is in our new feature, so it should have been triggered by now. We should see a new log stream in CloudWatch. How this would look like, something like this. So we can see that Lambda function pulled messages from SQS. It made a call to an S3 bucket, and then it also submitted that information from S3 bucket to Bedrock. And we got a nice response from Bedrock that's providing quite a summary of the guidance for the patient. And the last bit was that Lambda actually made a call to SES, and SES sent a notification email to the patient, giving them all this information. How that email would look like? Something like this. So this is an actual email from the application. We can see it's customized to Mr. Robert Chen, and it has the details about the booking, and it has very detailed summary of the guidelines, maybe even some more details about how to prepare for the upcoming GP visit, right? Take your medications, get all your test results, and things like that. All right, so that's the application. So John is happy, hopefully Sarah's happy. We can go to production, yay! Or can we?
That's so cool. I will think about your promotion this quarter.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Cool. Back to Sarah, and back to Nishant as well. With this, from this session, if we have to give you 4 key takeaways, we would like to give you, the first one is, there are 250 plus AWS services, there are tools, platforms. Please, you need to make your use case to let you choose the right set of services and map them to the business objective. And second, we talked about different patterns, about Strangler Fig, we talked about leave and layer. Use Strangler Fig if you want to modernize whole your application, which is your existing system, and gradually move to the microservices. And at this time, like, you are also changing the functionality of your monolith architectures. But if you want to build new functionalities around your legacy systems by not touching the functionality of the systems or applications, go with the leave and layer patterns. And we are in the era of generative AI, right? So you want to save time. You want to encourage your developers and all the personas in IT that you're working with to save some time and use that time in high-value activities that matters the most to your business, right? Use tools like AI coding assistants, Q developer in this case, like how John was able to create the new functionality around the application, and provided that he doesn't know anything about Java, Q developer did the stuff for him and saved a lot of time for him. With this, I would highly encourage all of you to scan or maybe take a picture of this slide. This talks about the event-driven architecture workshop on AWS, and there are cool architecture patterns that you can go through after this session, similar to what we discussed today in this session. And with this, I know you might be having some questions. We will be here next to the stage. If you have some questions, please stop by us. We would be so happy to help you out. Once again, thank you so very much for joining us in today's session. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the summit.